The Nora are perhaps one of the oldest tribes of humans, though their lack of written language and reliance on distorted oral tradition means their full history may be lost to time. By sight, the Nora are identified by the mix of hides and machine plates they wear, their preference for dreadlocks and braids, and the blue face paint that many members of the tribe favor. They live in wooden villages, many surrounded by defensive palisades, subsisting on food they acquire by foraging in the wilds, hunting, and fishing. The Nora refer to their territory as the Sacred Lands, most sacred of which being the Valley of All-Mother's Embrace, sitting in the shadow of All-Mother Mountain, the tribe's central religious site. The Embrace is also where the tribe has built their largest settlement, Mother's Heart. The Nora believe in a mother goddess they simply call All-Mother. According to their teachings, the goddess created all forms of life, people, machines, and the beasts of the earth. For a time, all lived in peace, but some grew greedy and faithless. The machines seduced them with promises to serve them and build a new world, a better world, a world of metal. They left with the machines, and the machines built great and terrible cities, monuments to sin. The machines would betray them, however, for a great king of machines called the Metal Devil arose and demanded that all should serve him. The faithless bowed, but to the Metal Devil that was not enough. Everyone must serve. He tried to tempt the mothers and fathers of the Nora, who alone had kept faith with the goddess. When that failed, the Metal Devil came to All-Mother Mountain, where the faithful had gathered in prayer, to kill the goddess. Instead, the goddess struck him down, and his body remains there to this day. The rest of the machines went mad and became as beasts, to be hunted for scrap and nothing more. So the Nora say that their lands in sight of All-Mother Mountain, the physical embodiment of the goddess from which all life sprung, are the sacred lands. All lands beyond them are spiritually tainted, and most of the ruins of the metal world that remain. Nora tribal law dictates that any member of the tribe that trespasses in the ruins of the metal world is to be outcast. So too are those who set foot outside of the borders of the sacred lands exiled, never again to return. Thus they are also traditionally distrustful, if not outright hostile, to outsiders. The Nora believe that the faithful will rest in the memory of All-Mother in death, while the faithless will become restless spirits called the Forgotten. The Nora tribe is matriarchal in structure, with a woman's authority in the tribe being directly measured by how many children and grandchildren she has. They speak for those generations, and thus their opinions have more weight among the Nora. A woman with 2 generations of living progeny, a grandmother, becomes a matriarch. A matriarch provides counsel and teaches other members of the tribe. The Nora lack a concept of marriage per se, so when a woman desires a child, she proposes a mate blessing with her chosen man. If he accepts and the union is sanctioned by a matriarch, they may have a child. This is often, but not necessarily, a long-term relationship. Unsanctioned children are frowned upon. The leaders of the tribe are the 3 high matriarchs, each of which has 3 or more generations of living progeny, great-grandmothers or great-great-grandmothers. These progeny must be living. If a whole generation of a matriarch's children or grandchildren dies out, a matriarch may be demoted in status. The high matriarchs rule the tribe as spiritual leaders with ultimate power, presiding over religious ceremonies and enforcing tribal law. Notably, they bless the naming of each child born among the Nora, a ceremony usually attended by the whole village, where new infants are presented to All-Mother atop a cliff, and the child's parent, usually the mother, shouts their child's name. As the name echoes back, the Nora say that the All-Mother is speaking the name back to them and offering her blessing. Punishment for violations of tribal law usually takes the form of shunning, a practice by which criminals become outcasts, forbidden from entering Nora settlements. They are forbidden from even speaking to other members of the tribe. They must survive on their own in the wilderness of the sacred lands until their sentence is complete. The sentence may be anything from weeks to months to life, depending on the crime. While some outcasts hold to this punishment, many violate its terms to at least speak to each other when necessary. Some outcasts have been known to give up on rejoining the tribe altogether and leave the sacred lands in favor of seeking a life in the outside world. An exception exists for child outcasts, who may rejoin the tribe when they come of age by participating in the proving. The proving is a ritual test that Nora may participate in when they come of age to become braves, the warriors of the Nora. While many Nora are hunters, only those who pass the proving are braves. They defend the Nora from foreign threats and hunt deadly machines that threaten their villages. The braves are led by a war chief appointed by the High Matriarchs, which is one of the few positions of authority both men and women may hold in the tribe. The High Matriarchs also have the power to grant a member of the tribe the Mark of the Seeker. Seekers have special permission to leave the sacred lands and return, a privilege usually only granted in times of great need. In a far more secretive and grim rite, a Nora may be made a Death Seeker. The Death Seeker leaves their spirit behind in the sacred lands, being considered dead by the tribe, and goes to bring death outside the sacred lands. They are not expected to return. This was last done to avenge the death of Nora murdered by outsiders, who then fled the sacred lands. The isolationist culture of the Nora has not helped their relationship with other tribes, who often view them as ignorant savages with strange practices and hatred for outsiders, though their braves have earned a fierce reputation. In particular, they have been looked down upon by the Karja, who themselves claim to have been founded by Nora exiled for trespassing in sacred ruins. The 8th Sun King of the Karja attempted to invade and conquer the sacred lands without success, ultimately declaring what they called the Savage East to be no longer fit for the Karja, and building a fortress in the mountain pass between their territories to mark the border. In recent decades, the Nora began to loosen some restrictions to allow mingling with outsiders near the border for trade, but that tentative contact would be followed by violence. The Nora were tormented by the Red Raids when the 13th Sun King of the Karja went mad and began to sacrifice his own people and surrounding tribes in cruel rituals to the sun. Nora were captured, sacrificed, and the region of the sacred lands closest to the Karja was depopulated. Ultimately, the Karja fell into civil war when the Sun King's son killed his father and claimed the title, his father's followers retreating from the capital to continue the war as the Shadow Karja. The new Sun King would send emissaries seeking to make amends. Years later, a Shadow Karja cult called the Eclipse launched a surprise attack against young Nora during the proving, causing a massacre while targeting a particular outcast girl named Aloy. They attacked with ancient weapons and machines. Ultimately, the Braves would drive them out of the sacred lands, and Aloy was sent out as a seeker to investigate. But the Eclipse would attack again with more machines, burning villages as they went. They would be repelled again with Aloy's help, and the High Matriarchs would call Aloy the Anointed of the Nora, for the ancient hatch hidden in All-Mother Mountain would open for her. She emerged with a mission to defend the world from a metal devil. So the High Matriarchs made every willing brave a seeker so they could join Aloy in fighting the devil at the Karja capital, Meridian. With several villages burned, on top of still recovering from the Red Raids, the Nora have much rebuilding to do, but perhaps Aloy's influence will encourage them to seek partnership with other tribes. Now let's talk a bit about the true origins of the Nora. All-Mother Mountain is in fact the site of the Eleuthia 9 Cradle Facility, where a new generation of humans was born and released into a world wiped clean of the old human civilization. We know the children of the facility were raised by robotic servitors with mother and father nurturing and disciplinarian personas. The surviving recordings suggest the mother persona was preferred by the children. The original intention was for these children to be educated with all the knowledge of the old world, but all of that knowledge was destroyed, so the servitors were forced to release the teenage humans out into the world when their food supplies ran out, with only the most basic of knowledge. Over the course of centuries, the oral tradition of the Nora seems to have distorted this origin and the ruins of the old world around them into the form of their mythology of the All-Mother. There is even some speculation that the name of the tribe itself may have been a misreading off of a dilapidated sign reading NORAD, the acronym of North American Air Defense, which has a base near Colorado Springs by the Rocky Mountains. The ruins of downtown Colorado Springs happen to be right in the middle of the Nora's sacred lands. Beyond the Karja, it isn't known if any other tribes are descended from those who left the Nora, or if they came from a different cradle facility. Okay, I've been a huge fan of Horizon's world building ever since I first played it, and it occurred to me that as the sequel finally approaches, this would be a topical time to give it some coverage. It's good for the channel growth, you understand. I've got some more of these you can look out for soon, or if you're new to my channel, I've got a ton of Dragon Age videos if you like that series, plus a few Cyberpunk videos. Anyway, I hope you all have a good day.